Hook, Tariq Castro Fields, Ben Van Sumeren. Are these guys going to be on the Eagles roster? Maybe. We're going to give you our early 53-man roster projections coming up next on the PHLY Eagles podcast. Plus, Eagles Cowboys to kick things off. What a season to come. To a beautiful Monday afternoon PHLY Eagles podcast. Bo Wulf, Zach Berman here. A show for the sickos. We're talking 53-man roster projections. It's all presented by the good folks at TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Zach, how you doing? How was your weekend?
Doing well. Excited for the show. You really hooked them with Max and Hook there, huh? Weekend was nice. And excited for the week ahead. Big week for Eagles coverage.
Well, big news today.
Big news today.
About what this Eagles season is going to look like. Why don't you break it down for us?
Week 1, September 4th. Eagles,
Thursday
Cowboys,
night.
Thursday night to kick off the season. You were wondering, was it going to be the Detroit Lions, the two NFC heavyweights?
Ooh.
Was it going to be the Chicago Bears, the up-and-coming quarterback?
Ooh, fun.
Instead, they go with the big NFC East rivalry. They'll start the season. First time Eagles-Cowboys open the year since 2000, the Pickle Juice game. So should be a fun one. I imagine an energized crowd, a great pregame and postgame show on PHLY. So excited for that.
I imagine the Eagles, in the grand tradition of selling the snow and selling the confetti, they're going to auction off the opportunity for one lucky Eagles fan to be the person who gets to pry open Jerry Jones's eyelids to make sure that he watches as the Eagles lift their Super Bowl championship banner right in front of him.
Oh, I think he will. I think he has respect for the Eagles.
Oh, you think so?
Jerry Jones? Yeah. I mean, if you hear his public comments. You
don't think they need to Clockwork Orange him and just pry him open?
His public comments are very reverential about what the Eagles have accomplished.
Well, what else is he going to say?
I think it's more Cowboys fans would be, you always have the Cowboys fans who come into the stadium. It'll be tough for them, deservedly so. It should be tough for them, right? The Eagles earned that. You win the Super Bowl. You open the season at home on a Thursday night, and then it helps you from a football perspective, helps you on the back end. You get that extra rest going into week 2.
Yeah. How do you feel about this just from a football standpoint? A division game week 1. How do
you know what?
Presumably the two teams at the top.
Sure.
Well, I guess that's unfair to the Commanders, but I personally think that the Cowboys.
Oh, don't bring that up to Anthony.
Commanders.
Because I said that on
really?
It was controversial today on Anthony's show.
Oh, interesting. You agree with me?
Yes, I was. I was saying I like the Cowboys more than the Commanders this year.
Too.
You would have thought it was blasphemous to bring that up. So it'll be a spirited conversation Wednesday night. We'll get to that. But yeah, it was. I think it is a tough week 1 game. You know it's going to be a tough week 1 game, right? They're not going to put your easy games, if you will, there. I mean, I think the Cowboys are an easier opponent than the Lions. I don't know if you love a high leverage division game to start the season. I did see something online. It might have been Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk who was saying, because there's rumors that the Chiefs-Chargers will be the Brazil game. Okay. And so they're saying maybe the NFL will lean into division rivalries to open up the season, which I don't necessarily love. I think there's enough juice for week 1. You don't need to use a big division game on it.
Yeah, that's true.
But look, football's
maybe
football.
You want to save the really juicy, intra-division games for the middle of the season, I guess. I don't know.
Sure. But then it's the flip side now too, because if you think about it, I was going through some of these Eagles-Cowboys games in recent years, and because the NFL now closes the whole schedule out with meaning.
At least the last 2 weeks,
division games. You sometimes have these meaningless Eagles-Cowboys games.
That's true.
So at least this is meaningful. The stat that really jumped out to me is Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott, we talked about this last year. They've only played against each other 3 times head to head because, well, it's been injury, but there's also been, there was that week 18 game in 2021 when Jalen didn't play. So you're getting some of that as well.
I actually, I thought it was even less than that, but that's.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, Dak's played the Eagles 13 times.
Okay.
And, they've only played against, Hurts and Prescott have only played against each other 3 times. That's, I was getting, I don't want to say getting into it. It was nice back and forth. You can check out Anthony's show. Anthony is not a Dak guy. And he's saying, how can you defend Dak? And I said, well, look, if I just go with my own eyes, I've seen him start against the Eagles 13 times. He's won 9 of those games, right? I've seen him have real prolific games against the Eagles. I'm not saying he's elite, but I think Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. And I think the Cowboys, I like what they did in the draft. They got your boy Tyler Booker in the first round. They got my boy Donovan Ezraku in the second round. They got Fran's boy.
My boy Tyler Booker at 12 is a little bit different, but yeah.
But they got Fran's boy Ravel in the third round. True. So whether it's Will McClay or Jerry Jones or Stephen Jones, they're watching the PHLY Eagles show. Thank you. I saw Brian Schottenheimer wants to be a guest on the DLLS Cowboys show.
Okay. Yeah. How do you feel about people worried about Shotty getting to unleash all of his secrets in Week 1 against the Eagles defense?
I find it uninspiring. I found the Schottenheimer hire uninspiring.
Yeah.
But hey, he's good for the brand. I saw him in the press conference. I think it was Clarence asks him a question. Clarence Hill from DLLS, and Schottenheimer says, "When's my invitation to the podcast coming?" So Nick Sirianni, you're watching this right now. You have an open. Am I allowed to invite him? You have an open invitation.
Yeah, why not?
To sit at the third desk here. You can sit right between us, or we can head over to Studio A. Or how about this?
I just want him to do Michigan basketball.
Fab Five
trivia
back at trivia. You know what? I've lost to him once. I think I can beat him this time. I wasn't prepared. I would read Mitch Albom's book in preparation.
Well, the whole idea is
it has to be spontaneous. Yeah, fair enough. True. I won't read Mitch Albom's book. So I would love if we can get Nick Sirianni here, talk shop.
Okay. The other thing about the Cowboys, and I appreciate that Jimmy Kempski has made this a cause célèbre of his, which is that the Cowboys continue to weasel their way out of ever having to play a short rest Thursday night game on the road because they always have the Thanksgiving game at home, and now they get their Thursday night road game Week 1 of the season.
It's a good point, and it's something actually the Eagles once proposed a change to the Thanksgiving tradition, and that's part of the reason. It is an advantage that they always have the Thursday game at home, right? It's a good point by Jimmy. I don't know if it's weaseling their way into it. I would say it's a weasel. It's the same thing for the Lions. Like the Lions have it too, and. But I certainly see it's advantageous, and it's not fair per se to the rest of the league that those teams have it. Now the Eagles will still have a Thursday game in addition to this, right?
Right.
But this does help you that Week 1 to Week 2 turnaround.
Now, this is the week, right? We'll find out on Wednesday night. We're gonna have a special show on Wednesday night, the two of us with Anthony Gargano as well, which will be a fun thing presented by Philly Sports Trips. When the schedule comes out,
yes,
give me the first 2 things that you're going to look for, because I know what one of them is, and it's non-football related. So give me the first 2 things you want to see
from a football or just in general.
In general.
Well, all right. My sister's getting married in October, so I have never missed a game in 13 years, non-COVID.
Shout out to Athletic Greens.
The COVID season, I didn't travel to all the games, but I've never missed a regular season game in 13 years otherwise. So 12 of those 13 years. And I hope I don't have to miss one this year, but I will miss it if there's a game in Los Angeles or Green Bay, my sister's wedding weekend, then I'll miss that. But otherwise.
Very big of you. What a hero.
What a hero. Not all heroes wear capes, Bo, right? And then, but
I like that you tugged at your jacket as you said that. That's very nice.
But look, if you think about it, there are 8 home games, Washington, Dallas. So, and then a bye week. So right there you have 11 of 18. There's an 11 of 18 chance. If you add in a Monday game on the road, you can probably get to Buffalo Sunday morning probably. So I'm thinking my odds are pretty good that I'll be able to be in my seat on Sunday morning.
Okay.
Or on
that's
Sunday
the first
or Monday
thing is that weekend.
So that's the first thing. Honestly, from a football perspective, what you look for is the short weeks. You look for the bye week.
Yeah, when's the bye?
When's the bye? And then, the short week games. What's your Monday, Sunday turnarounds? That's something that I know teams always think about. What's your Thursday game? Is it home or is it on the road? The NFL stopped doing this, but if you remember, I know you do, 2011, they played a Thursday game in Seattle, which is just brutal.
I remember that game.
And they got destroyed. Now, I mean, Seattle was much better than them, of course, but they got destroyed in that game. The NFL doesn't send you.
Yeah, but I got to have a great 36 hours in Seattle. It was worth it for me.
Yeah. Now, and I'll say from a reporter's perspective, what I always look for is, what's the travel schedule? You want now, are they primetime games on the road or the primetime games at home? I prefer primetime games at home, honestly, because
for sure.
Yeah, you get to be home.
You're a human being.
You're not just killing the day. Then you have that quick flight the next morning. So I look for that. And then
you probably will get, unfortunately, some primetime away games.
But you know what?
In the Super Bowl.
You want your primetime games then to be on the West Coast. So you'd rather the Rams game be primetime because it's 5 o'clock there. Yeah. So it's not like a crazy turn. You can still catch that red eye if you want, but it's not a crazy turnaround. But the prime, if it's like Green Bay primetime, that's brutal, right? Because Green Bay's not an easy place to get to. Anyways, but from a football perspective, you look for the bye week. You look for the tough string of games.
Like the bye week is always the most important thing you think about. And last year, it's like, oh man, the Eagles got screwed with that week 5 bye as early as they could possibly have it. And it turned out not only did they win the Super Bowl, but that bye came in very handy for them. So
exactly
anything we say this week could be completely wrong.
Yeah, there's
almost likely to be.
Yeah, there's a commenter or a social media commenter who he says I promote my books too much. So sorry about that. Okay. I'm going to mention something here. There's a book coming out in September, and there's a chapter.
Give me a break.
There's a chapter on that bye week that I think is actually pretty good chapter. Like,
what's the name of the book?
The book is called Leap Year.
Oh, that's a good
Leap
title.
Year, yes. And so, but I think the bye week chapter is pretty good because you're able to put a bunch of different things together. People can pre-order.
Oh, that's cool.
Anywhere books are sold.
Oh,
yes.
Well,
online.
Okay.
At least not in stores yet, but it'll be in stores on September 23rd.
Oh, got that circled on the calendar.
I definitely do.
Actually, that'll be a good thing to look at. Who are they playing that week?
Who are they playing that week? Yeah. And yeah, that is a good thing to look at. That's true.
Okay.
How about you? What do you look for?
Yeah, the bye.
The bye. Okay.
One of the primetime games.
Yeah.
Hopefully no Thanksgiving or Christmas games.
Okay.
Basically.
Sure.
Yeah.
This year, I think they have, what day does Christmas fall on? Do you have that in front of you? Because I think there's like Friday, Saturday, Sunday games. It's a whole string there.
Well, yeah, they want to take over. Christmas is a Thursday.
Okay, so I think they have like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah. How would you feel about a Black Friday game?
It's fine.
That's fine.
Care.
Yeah. From a show,
I would prefer it not, but better than
Thanksgiving.
Christmas, yeah.
I actually think that'd be good for. I think that'd be a good show game, right? Like a good pre-post, Black Friday game.
Okay. Why?
Well, you have college football on, but I feel like people will be.
You get a captive audience.
You have a captive audience. It's a day game. You can probably sell some merch, right? We have a Black Friday deal going.
We got a nice deal going on merch right now. It's a little spring cleaning going on. 30% off. Check it out at the PHLY store. Up to 75% off the stuff that's already marked down. So, I mean, that's an organic tie-in right there. Beautiful. All right, Zach, let's get to the conceit of the show, the main conceit here, and that is, I mean, what's better than a 53-man roster projection in May? And I got to tell you, like going through this exercise, I am not of the camp like you, where I'm like counting down the hours till training camp. Like, we need football. I'm going to enjoy this summer break. But going through this 53-man roster projection, it made me excited for training camp because there's a lot of
that's a tough mission for you.
There's a lot of little battles.
Yes.
For roster spots that I find pretty fascinating. A lot of players who we saw last year or joined the team midway, and I want to see them on the field. So this was a fun exercise.
That's a great point. I think there's also a different wrinkle to this year is that we've never had to account for a potential, or I shouldn't say never, in a long time, account for a potential fullback. roster designation and a potential return specialist roster designation. Now they've had.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. My first question for you was going to be, what position group did you put Avery Williams in?
I put him with the specialists.
Really?
Yes. Did you put him with a position?
Yeah, I put him with wide receivers, but I feel like actually running back is more likely. He's going to have to practice with somebody.
He's literally listed on the roster as a specialist.
Yeah, I understand that, but that's that's their way of just not giving it away.
Sure.
It's it's a special thing we have. But when they go through position drills, he's going to be with somebody. He's not going to be just throwing balls up to himself and catching them.
Yeah, but I suppose it's similar to like the Van Sumeren thing at fullback is you're typically saying, all right, they're going to keep X amount of running backs, right? Or X amount of wide receivers. And X amount of skill position players. Do you include him in that?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. This is just from your taxonomy.
Yeah, so the way I've always done 53s, and by the way, I'm sitting next to the king of the beats with the 53s, right?
Back to back. Only time it's ever been done, only time it ever will be done.
So I typically, you pick your 50, and then you just add on 3 specialists, right? And this year, you pick your 49 and you add on 4 specialists.
So you think that Avery Williams is a lock, given the way that Nick Sirianni was talking about him at the owners' meeting?
I don't know. I mean, but for the May 12th one, yes, he's on my May 12th 53. Spoiler. But the thing about this, and it's the concession we always give. We haven't seen them practice. We haven't seen the undrafted guys. So you're putting weight on things that, it's all going to change once you see them. But it's a fun exercise post-draft because you see positions where there are those competitions and where there are not those competitions.
All right. We are going to get to it right after this break. Our 53-man roster projections. We will start, obviously, on the offense. Dorian Thompson-Robinson versus Kyle McCord. Who you got? Find out who we have on the other side. It is on. And what is that? That's the Memorial Day sale at Ashley. Save $100 off every $1,000 you spend. Plus, get amazing savings on outdoor furniture. That's not all. Get 60 months special financing and have your furniture delivered locally free. Plus, with your qualifying purchase, get a free gift. Save on top brand mattresses and get free local delivery, setup, and removal at Ashley, South Jersey, and Philadelphia. Visit ashleyfurniture.com for more information. Financing with approved credit, minimum purchase required. Some exclusions may apply. See store for details. Get your shopping on for that home furniture at Ashley.
In my 20 months or so doing this show, I've learned a lot, and I've been kind of my antenna's been raised to different things, and among those things is flooring. When I go places now, I'm like, this is nice flooring. I bet you got this at Empire Today, because Empire Today is the place to go. They are the flooring experts. They're dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. We've all been to these big box stores where you wander endless aisles, and then somehow you're hauling all these materials home. And I get home, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with all these materials, right? I need an installer. I need to coordinate everything myself. No, not with Empire Today. Empire Today is your best bet for new floors. They live and breathe flooring, and they will be with you every step of the way. It's a whole different ballgame. Their flooring experts bring you they bring the showroom right to your home. So you pick the right flooring and the right colors for your space. You see how it looks with your furniture in your house. That's convenience. That's worth it right there. You get precise measurements taken, and you have all your questions answered, so there are no surprises. With Empire Today, you get clear, upfront, and inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day, because when you have flooring this good, why wait? Schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. PHLY listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code PHLY. Yes, you heard that right. A $350 discount with code PHLY. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/PHLY for full details.
Hey, did you read that story about the what is it called? The life thing in Columbus?
The life thing in Columbus.
The thing that Sirianni is doing.
Like the religious. Okay, yeah.
Did you read that?
I didn't read it.
Okay.
No. Okay. It was just at Ohio State, or was it?
Yeah. The whole thing's kind of gross, but we'll say that for another time.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Quarterback.
I'll give that a read. I see the billboard.
Jalen Hurts lock.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, he is on my 53.
Tanner McKee, lock.
Tanner McKee, lock.
Now, head-to-head battle. Kyle McCord versus Dorian Thompson-Robinson. How do you feel about this?
I'm going Kyle McCord here, and I understand like the draft pick investment's not so significant that you can't get out of it, right?
Right.
But
you saw them cut Clayton Thorson
exactly.
as a 5th-round pick several years ago.
And Thompson-Robinson, someone who they did have legit interest in the draft. I mean, they brought him in on a top 30. There are tools there that shouldn't be dismissed. I just think I like Kyle McCord in the draft. I think there's some pop to his arm. I think that he'll have a good summer. So I'm going Kyle McCord here for the upside.
It's an interesting one because these are stylistically such different players.
Yes.
Right. And so you would imagine that like practice settings are probably a little bit more weighted towards Kyle McCord's favor, but he is a rookie. Dorian Thompson-Robinson has been in the league for a couple of years, so maybe it's in his favor. He's a bit more of a run around, make plays athletically kind of guy. Like day one of camp, who do you think takes the first snap with the third team?
I was going to ask you that. I'm going Thompson-Robinson. I
think so too.
Yeah. But what I'm curious is, do you think?
But that's what they. I mean, think back to 2 years ago. That's what they did with McKee. I forget who he was going up against. Was it Ian Book?
Yes.
And like Ian Book got the first reps,
exactly,
and then McKee was like with the backups. But I think if things progress well enough, 1 week in, McCord's taking those reps.
So, how much preseason work do you think McKee's going to get, or do you think it's going to be mostly these two guys? Like, do you think?
I think McKee will get plenty of reps because I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to play more than like a series, right?
Yeah, I doubt he plays at all, honestly.
Right.
And so
yeah, McKee probably plays a fair amount.
But I mean, last year, for instance, they played McKee a lot, right? They played Pickett some, but they played McKee a lot.
Yeah.
They really wanted to get a good look at McKee. I'm guessing that they're going to want to get a good look at McCord and Thompson-Robinson this summer.
Yeah, I think so too. I also have McCord getting my third quarterback spot. But like you, I don't think that this is done and dusted. But
I also think Howie would probably love to flip Thompson-Robinson if he could.
I mean,
that's
of course he would. But
sure,
what's he going to flip him for?
I mean, a 7th,
I think, but if anything, you're flipping him for a player who's not going to make another team, right?
I mean, they flipped guys I did not think they'd be able to flip.
Yeah,
this is a drafted quarterback who has not. Correct me if I'm wrong. He hasn't been available to the league yet, right? He hasn't been cut. He wasn't on the practice squad there. But I'm saying in theory.
I mean, this is wish casting of the highest order.
Howie's known to wish cast at the highest order sometimes.
Okay.
So,
all right. So no disagreements at quarterback. Let's talk about running back. Saquon Barkley a lock.
I'd say so.
Will Shipley a lock.
Yes, for sure.
No other locks here.
No.
Let's put Van Sermon to the side of the conversation for now. There are 4 other running backs on the roster: AJ Dillon, Lou Nichols. By the way, did you think it was interesting that they released Ty Davis Price?
I did think it was interesting.
As to why he was the last guy standing? Or the first guy off the boat?
Yeah, they have certain numbers for positions, and they probably felt, they surely felt like.
Well, it's interesting because they carried him for most of last season.
Sure.
Didn't carry Lou Nichols, and now Lou Nichols must have had the offseason of a lifetime
program. Yeah, good point.
So you've got AJ Dillon, Lou Nichols, and then the 2 undrafted free agents: Montrell Johnson Jr. from Florida and Shunderick Powell, who you guys discussed in that undrafted free agent show. Do you think that this is 3 running backs? And if so, who was your third?
I'm going AJ Dillon.
Okay.
Stylistically, there's something there. No, I don't know how his neck is. I mean, Andrew and him can commiserate, right?
Andrew's going in for surgery.
Yes.
Give us some thoughts and prayers in the chat.
Yeah, AJ Dillon.
But the good news is you're going to sign a big fat free agent contract next year, Andrew. Yeah.
You sit out the year and then play next year. Yeah.
And oh my God, the size of your quads, they're about to balloon.
You think those two things are connected?
I do, yeah.
So AJ Dillon, when he's been in the league, he's been he's been solid, right?
Yeah.
He's been he's definitely been a rosterable player. And so I gave him the edge here. Of the 2 running backs that they signed on the undrafted market, Montrell Johnson, showed some juice at Florida. He had that 70+ yard run against Miami. That stands out.
A couple big runs against Florida State.
There you go. So I went Dillon here. I wouldn't dismiss Lou Nichols. There is a reason why they brought him back.
I mean, there literally is no bigger Lou Nichols fan than me. And I would discount Lou Nichols as making the 53-man roster. I think he's got a shot to make the practice squad. But yeah, I would be very surprised if
you don't think he can beat out AJ. I mean, what if AJ Dillon just doesn't have it anymore?
Well, I don't have AJ Dillon on my roster.
Who do you have?
I have Montreal Johnson.
Okay.
You're
going with the undrafted rookie before you've seen him in the flesh.
Yeah, I mean, I'm throwing a dart here. Could not be more speculative.
Sure.
But I think this is a spot where somebody else can make the team. It could be somebody from another team. Do you think that they will make another addition here? Do you think they're okay with this group heading into camp?
Yeah, I do think they're okay with this group. I think they're bullish on Shipley. And I think they feel like Shipley can be a strong number 2 running back.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason why they did not bring back Gainwell. And I think there's a school of thought there. And actually, I probably subscribe to it that Shipley will be a better number 2 back than Gainwell. And so I
mean, this is good bait. This is the way to get Nick Sirianni on the show. The more that you publicly castigate Kenneth Gainwell, the more likely it is that Nick Sirianni is going to burst through this door and suplex you through this thing.
Yeah, he does love him some Kenny Gainwell. I like Kenny Gainwell too.
This is a good gambit from you.
The two things aren't related, but Nick, you have an open invitation to come here. But yeah, I think that Dillon, if Dillon's right, this is a fine backfield, and obviously, as we've talked about, maybe they do take a bit off of Saquon's plate. And as we've also discussed, Saquon was more healthy or was healthier last season than he's been in the past. So you have to account for the possibility that this might be Shipley and whoever is the third running back getting significant time this year.
Yeah, I think from a roster building standpoint, a third running back is a fairly fungible resource in the league. You should be able to find guys. And so I think, let's see how these guys play in the preseason games. I'm going on Montreal Johnson, which is probably more of a bet just against definitely penning in AJ Dillon for the roster than anything else.
And typically the Eagles carry undrafted guys. So you need to, if I don't have an undrafted player on my 53 yet, we'll get to that.
I have 2.
See, that's why you're the king of the beats.
Yeah, baby. All right. Do you have Ben Van Sumeren on your roster? You buy that Jeffrey Lurie wants to make fullbacks great again.
So I do have Ben Van Sumeren. I don't buy the Jeffrey Lurie part of this. I think as I said on the show last week, I think Jeffrey Lurie was, I don't want to say pandering, but was
talking to his audience. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was chatting with John Ritchie. I think it was a way of having a good banter with John Ritchie, good back and forth with John Ritchie. I don't think the Eagles, there's this thought that, he gave away this big secret. I don't think the Eagles have these grand secrets for Ben Van Sumeren. I think it's going to be similar to what you saw last year. There'll be packages where you use him. But if Van Sumeren's healthy, and again, he's coming off an injury, he's coming off surgery, so we have to see how he is. But there's versatility there, right? He plays fullback. He was a key special teams player for them. That's probably what you want in that role. You know he can step in if you need to as a depth linebacker. So I just think there's a lot of value for him on the 53. So I did go with him, and I went with him in the fullback spot. What about you?
Do you think that he will actually practice with the running backs, even though I know that they are listing him as a fullback?
I do. I think he'll be more on the offensive side of the ball than the defensive side of the ball.
But do you think he'll still practice at linebacker at all? Do you think they are giving up on him as a linebacker?
I mean, this is like Shohei Ohtani, right? I mean,
it's exactly
just like that. Just like that. Knew you were going to say that. Travis Hunter, Ben Van Sumeren.
Yeah.
I think that...
Let's get Howie Roseman to give a James Gladstone speech about Ben Van Sumeren.
I would like to hear that. So I think that he'll take some work at linebacker, but I think he'll spend more time at fullback.
Okay.
I mean, last year I said throughout the year that he's not a linebacker playing fullback. He's a fullback and special teams player who's listed as a linebacker because he was pretty far down the depth chart at linebacker.
Yeah. I don't have him on the team.
You don't have him on the team.
Yeah.
You think this isn't happening? Or you think practice squad elevation?
Last year, the Ben Van Sumeren fullback packages amounted to like 2 snaps a game a couple times. I don't think that that's in and of itself worth a 53-man roster spot. I think if they want it to be Ben Van Sumeren, they can elevate him. I don't think the league is screaming down their throat to try to get Ben Van Sumeren. And I think there are probably other guys who can approximate that role with the tight ends.
Backup tight, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think this tight end class, or this tight end group is so strong that you need to be like, we can't afford to cut him, but we'll get to that.
I mean, it doesn't have to be. I'm not keeping a guy who I wouldn't otherwise keep.
Sure.
Like,
yeah. I mean, I
Harrison
think
Bryant can't just be.
Yeah. Here, I'll put it this way. I don't think Van Sumeren's on the roster specifically for fullback. I think it's his special teams value and the versatility. But I do have him. The first time I've had someone in the fullback spot, I believe, since Emil Egwaniku in 2012, I had him making it over Stanley Havili, I believe.
Nice.
Yes, we all remember that, of course.
Of course we do.
Yes.
Now let's just mention Avery Williams. You have him on. I have him on as well.
Yes.
Avery Williams, if you were just tuning in and you haven't heard about this, I mean, Nick Sirianni, the joy and the buzz that he spoke about Avery Williams with at the owners' meetings. But I mean, it was as if AJ Brown had been added to the team. Avery Williams has been in the league for a couple of years, was return specialist with the Falcons. And Nick feels like this is the key to them winning the Super Bowl again. So I mean, he's got to be on the roster.
He said, and have an offensive role. Yes, I said offense. That's what he did.
That's right. As if he had, boom, mic drop. Bam.
Yes. Like,
hey, I said offense.
Like, man, I just hoisted the Lombardi, and wait until you see what I can do with Avery Williams. You think that, Raheem Morris and before Raheem Morris was Arthur Smith, you think Raheem Morris and Arthur Smith knew what they were doing with this guy? No. He's here.
Oh, we are very excited about Avery Williams. He's going to be a big return specialist for us. I think he might even help out on offense. Yeah, I said offense.
Hey, man.
So good. Yeah. All right. How many wide receivers do you have?
That was a fun Avery Williams conversation, but I have Avery Williams as a return specialist, I should say. I have 5 wide receivers, and I'm uncreative in this.
A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson.
Yep.
Those are for sure.
Locks. And then it's wide open after them.
Wide open. I don't think it's. I think Johnny Wilson's on the team.
Okay.
I would be very surprised if Johnny Wilson doesn't make the team. He did the dirty work stuff well. I think there's a reason to believe he takes some minor jump, and I also don't think there's anybody else of these depth guys screaming down his neck. So I think he's, not a lock, but whatever. There's a bit of a difference between a lock and a true bubble guy. I think he's there.
A real quick Johnny Wilson thing, and in the chat, please supplement this or add to this if this is incorrect or if I've only told it half correct. I think I saw this on social media. Johnny Wilson's card, his sports card, is him dropping his football card. Is him dropping the pass in the Super Bowl? Because it's him. Now it's not like you don't know, but it's him in the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's very funny.
And the ball coming to him, but he dropped the pass, right? And so that's a tough one there. But still, I do have Johnny Wilson making the team.
Okay, so then the rest of the guys competing for 5 or 6 spots, or 1 or 2 spots rather. Elijah Cooks, who is a guy who's been around the league, spent some time with the Jaguars. Darius Cooper, the undrafted rookie from Tarleton State. Danny Gray from SMU, the former 3rd-round pick of the 49ers, who you told us last year, Zach, the guys in the locker room said was tearing up.
Yep.
Terrace Marshall, the former 2nd-round pick who was signed this offseason. Taylor Morin, the undrafted rookie out of Wake Forest. And then finally, one of, I think, the most interesting players this summer, Ainias Smith, who had a terrible summer last year as a 5th-round pick, showed no juice, but was coming off of an injury, and they carried him on the roster. I think he got like 1 or 2 touches over the course of the season, unproductive ones. I want to see if he comes back and looks like a different player, because if not, he will not make this team.
Great point. I have Ainias Smith on my 53.
He's your 5th.
But he is one of the more intriguing players. There was palpable buzz about him in the building last year. There was excitement about him last year. I mean, they kept him before the season. Before camp. Before camp. Before camp. When they drafted him, they thought this guy had juice. They kept him on the 53. I'm sorry. They carried him on the initial 53, then put him on IR so he could return. They brought him back. And he had a bad summer. He didn't do much in the season to really distinguish himself. Even in that Week 18 game, like Jahan Dotson looked like he was a legit player out there. Ainias Smith did not necessarily in that game. So, anyways, I have him on the 53. I think this is a group that they can continue to add to.
I think so too.
But I went Wilson and Smith because of the draft pedigree here.
I went with one that I don't really believe in. I'm not going to Ainias Smith. I wish that one of the undrafted guys had been more of a player, or that they had drafted a wide receiver on day 3. But I'm trusting the eyes of the guys in the locker room from what you told us last year. I'm going Danny Gray. Why not? We're in a 4.33. He's got some speed. They could use some speed.
Talk about draft pedigree, 3rd round pick.
Yeah, exactly. So I go Danny Gray.
Okay, what's your Go Deeks level with Taylor Morin?
Not super high. Very like significantly sub Michael Campanaro.
So if I was doing like fearless predictions, I promise you there's going to be a media availability at some point with Taylor Morin at training camp. And
you promise that?
No. And some reporters are going to be like, "So is Britton Covey someone that you studied? Did you have you?"
Yeah, that's true.
And he'll either not know who Britton Covey is, or he'll go so over the top in talking about Britton Covey that it's like, all right, you prepped a little too hard for this question.
Yeah, that's why you're just thinking that the white guy from Wake Forest has to be a smart guy.
No, because
you know how dumb I am.
No, because Fran said this is your new Britton Covey, and I've been reading this.
Well, no, but you're saying he's over preparing.
No, because I imagine the PR staff does a good job, and
you think they're going to prep him for that specific question?
I mean, it's. But what cracked me up is if the question gets asked and they don't mention the questioner doesn't mention Covey's last name, and it's like, so did you watch Britton? As if he's supposed to know you're talking about Britton Covey, because that happens sometimes.
This is a very funny thing for you to be angry about.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How many tight ends do you have? Dallas Goedert and Grant Calcaterra, I think we would agree, are pretty close to locks. And then you've got Harrison Bryant, E.J. Jenkins, Kylan Granson, Cameron Latu, and Nick Muse competing. Yeah. The numbers-wise, they don't need 7 tight ends. I would be surprised if they enter camp with 7 tight ends. I bet one of those guys gets cut.
Agreed. Which one?
Else.
Nick Muse?
Probably Nick Muse, yeah.
Agreed.
Sorry. I mean, he got to go to the White House.
I was about to say that. Good one. HB, I'm going with here. HB gets his he gets on the 53. Harrison Bryant.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I have Harrison Bryant getting this last spot. I wouldn't be shocked if they went with 4 tight ends from this group, but I'm sticking with 3 for now. I'm going Harrison Bryant.
Do you think there's any chance they still trade for a tight end, or like to have one in the pipeline beyond this season? Like,
it's possible
to develop someone for 2026.
Yeah, but
similar to what they did with Alberto.
What kind of player would be available for free, essentially, who is going to matter to their 2026 projections?
It's a good point. I mean, they did this with Alberto a few years ago, and but it's a good point.
Well, they didn't trade for him. They did.
They did trade for him.
He was waived, and then they traded for him to make sure they got him. Okay, that's not crazy.
I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know if Harrison Bryant is like definitely your 3rd.
Yeah, so. I agree. All right, offensive line, which, I mean, you want to talk about fascinating depth chart competitions, like battles galore.
Oh, you and Fran are going to be.
I can't wait to watch these guys. So let's go with 4 locks, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Lane Johnson. I think Tyler Steen
is a lock.
For this. I wouldn't be like bowled over if they traded Tyler Steen or something like that. But
not
barring that, he's going to make this team. I think it's Kenyon Green's probably a relative lock to make this team. So that's 6 there. And then I don't think there are any other locks, and it's an interesting group. So let's run this down, and then we'll talk about the competitions that are interesting. Yeah. So the players involved: Holland Pierce, the undrafted player out of Rutgers; Darian Kennard, who was carried on the team last year and is a virtual guarantee Super Bowl championship. He has been in the league 3 seasons and won the Super Bowl all 3 years. Matt Pryor, Kendall Lamb, Miles Hinton, Laken Vakalahi, who gets that international roster exemption, Drew Kendall, the 5th round pick, Brett Toth, and Cameron Williams. So this is an interesting one. It feels like, to me, the swing tackle spot, a competition between Kendall Lamb, Darian Kennard, and Matt Pryor. Is that fair to say?
Ooh, you don't think Hinton can push to be the...
I don't think that they're going to view Hinton as a
game day guy.
As a game day guy right away.
Okay.
I think the developmental guys is a separate roster spot.
Yeah, all right. That's an interesting one there too. Yeah, I think those are the candidates for sure. Now, I don't quite know what to make of the Lamb Pryor signings because that was obviously done before the draft. I think that was the draft preview there, but then they add to that position.
Yeah,
they add 2 tackles. So
Lamb, 32 years old, a little bit older, but
legit,
capable
exactly
swing tackle who can play on both sides. I think he is your baseline there. I think Pryor is more of a guard.
Yeah, that's what that's what I was thinking.
But he gives you some flex.
He's probably not someone you're putting at left tackle either.
Right.
So.
And then Kennard, presumably this is what they kept him for, was to be this year's swing
precisely
tackle.
Exactly.
And maybe Lamb is the bar for him to clear.
Yeah. So do you want my answer there? Or
sure.
I went Kennard.
Yeah, I went Kennard too.
Okay.
Just at this early point, but I think that's a good battle to watch.
Yeah.
Now, how many other guys do you have making it?
I have
because you've got Keegan, who's got to prove that he can play, who wasn't asked to play last year. You've got the rookies in Hinton and Cameron Williams on the outside. You've got Drew Kendall. Can he be ready to be a game day active? And then you've got the holdovers like Keegan and Holland Pierce as well.
Sure. So I have Kenyon Green as my starter on my list.
Okay.
And again, I'm not married. I think that's a legit competition. I'm not married to that. But I have Tyler Steen, Drew Kendall, Myles Hinton, Trevor Keegan, and Darian Kennard. So I erred on the side of young developmental players here as opposed to the veterans that might be a poor decision to go with because there is a reason why they signed Kendall Lamb and Matt Pryor. The Eagles didn't go out and sign 30-plus old players at other spots. Clearly, Jeff Stoutland wanted like some type of assurance at these spots here. But I don't have Cameron Williams here because I think Cameron Williams is going to be your injury redshirt player.
Oh,
I could be wrong there.
You're gonna whack him on the knee.
They're gonna pump for him, right? They're gonna. I mean, there's gonna be a back injury or a hamstring injury or something. Wow. Yeah, I mean,
predicting subterfuge.
I mean, look, I lost my 53 last year because you said they were doing that with Trevor Keegan.
They should have done that.
I was doing great, and then you were like,
"Don't blame it on me."
Yeah, you talk. I mean, you're the king of the beach. You talked me into that. I'm like, well, I was trying to be Howie. I was gathering information from reliable places, and
don't blame me for your failures.
So I went with Keegan, and I put Keegan on IR.
That's what they should have done.
Yeah. So there's a reason why they kept Keegan around last year. I don't know if he's going to for sure be on this team.
Yeah, he's another player where I'm very interested to see what he looks like this year compared to last year.
But they're more tackle heavy than guard heavy. So now I know Kennard can play inside. Pryor obviously has the guard background, but I got a smile on my face now trying to think about what the second team offensive line is going to be on day one of camp. The things that do it for you, man.
Ooh, I think it's going to be.
Are you with me on Kendall, by the way?
That he's going to be on the team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kendall or Keegan?
No, Kendall.
Yeah. I mean, he was the first one they drafted. I think he's going to be on the team. But let me think about the second team O-line because that's really exciting stuff. Like, do they go Toth at center or do they let Drew Kendall be the second team center? I'm going to say they let Drew Kendall be the second team center. You'll have Kenyon Green at right guard. You will have Darian Kennard at right tackle. You will have Trevor Keegan at left guard and Kendall Lamb at left tackle.
I think you nailed it. Look at that. You nailed it.
I have 11 offensive linemen making the team.
Of course you did.
I have this as like my very last roster spot went to Cameron Williams. So I have Cam Jurgens, Kenyon Green, Landon Dickerson, Trevor Keegan, Darian Kennard, Tyler Steen, Myles Hinton, Lane Johnson, Drew Kendall, Jordan Mailata, Cameron Williams. So they all make it. You know what? I probably should have. I don't think Cameron Williams is going to get cut. I think Cameron Williams is going to be in the building. But I think it'll be more of like a Mailata situation. Mailata's rookie. Not to say the two are similar, but I think this is one where they want him around for next year. All right. We will get to the defense just after this break from our sponsors. Lottery party tonight. Zach, what's your prediction? Man, I've been spending too much time thinking about this. Yeah? Yeah. I'm going Sixers staying at 6. Okay. And set the stage from here. If they go below 6, they lose the pick. Okay. But they have like a 10% chance of 1, 2, and 3, and 4, I believe. And they have like a 14% chance of 6. They don't have as good of a chance of 5.
And then they have a 40+% chance of losing the pick altogether. Right?
Very exciting stuff.
And it's interesting hearing Daryl Morey speak. Like, it's such a good way of spinning. He's like, so we either get the pick this year or next year, right? That's how he's talking about it. Because if they keep it this year, then Oklahoma City definitely gets it next year.
Yeah.
So he's like, so it's either this year or next year that we get the draft, right? Where it's like these stakes are considerably different. Yeah.
And I bring this up because whether you are celebrating or drinking away your sorrows, tonight's going to be a good night to suck back a few Pabst Lights, because Pabst Light is a new light modern beer from the Pabst Brewing Company. It's 96 calories, 3.5 carbs, and full of crisp and refreshing flavor. At Pabst Light, they used high-quality ingredients so you can get that high-quality beer at a smart, approachable price. And it retains the fun and independent spirit Pabst is known for, but it's a light. Learn more about the new Pabst Light at PabstLight.com. Please drink responsibly. Must be 21 or older.
Bo mentioned this earlier. I can't wait for Wednesday night, okay? Because we have this NFL schedule release show. We're hosting a special extra show presented by our friends at Philly Sports Trips. They do a great job, by the way. I see them on the road. It's a great place to travel to Eagles games with. They take care of everything for you. But Wednesday night, May 14th, coverage kicking off at 7:30. 30 minutes into the show, we will tell you every single game, when, where, okay? Who, of course.
Why?
Well, we already know who.
What?
Yeah, but look, you don't need us on the second screen. Make this your primary screen. There's no analysis you're getting on the national networks like what you'll be getting from Bo Wulf, from Anthony Gargano, and from me on Wednesday night at 7:30. Tune in to see us react to the matchups that are coming for the reigning Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Again, the NFL schedule extra show will be held on Wednesday, May 14th, beginning at 7:30 p.m. Can I ask you something real quick?
After this, because that's your chance to watch us, but your chance to hang with us. Well, that comes on June 14th at Valley Brook Country Club for the second annual PHLY Liberty Open, the golf tournament presented by Xfinity. Xfinity combines the power of internet and mobile in an all-in-one plan. You can get lightning-fast speeds at home and a secure network on the go. Restrictions apply. Xfinity internet required. Actual speeds vary. And as for the golf tournament, 4-person scramble includes a limited edition PHLY golf tee, prizes, and post-round dinner and draft beer, along with a great raffle, including Philly memorabilia. Visit allphly.com/events to learn more and purchase an individual or foursome reservation for the tournament. Diehard members are eligible to save $50 on a foursome. Terms and conditions apply. Zach, go ahead. Was your question about foursomes?
No, it was not.
Oh.
Nor shotgun starts, which means everyone starts at the same time. My question was about the lottery. I asked this to Jamie last week. Do you think the NFL should have a lottery?
Not really, but
okay.
I'm not opposed to it. It's probably Roger could steal a bunch of views that way. Like, it's a good way to
what do you think of
build in one more event to the calendar?
Yeah, what do you think of the pitter patter of the schedule release?
Yeah,
three games announced today. I don't know what at some point today, Fox and Amazon are going to announce games. There's like Netflix is going to announce games tomorrow. It's this pitter patter.
No, but you love the bifurcated schedule. You love all the different options to watch a game. Can't just subscribe to one thing to watch football.
We don't need to get that. I don't love it. I'm saying that's the reality of the world we live in. It's two separate conversations.
It's technology.
Okay, but I am curious. There's if you think there should be a lottery, I don't necessarily think there's tanking in the NFL. So you're not dealing with the same thing, but it does provide some variability to it, and it's not just like if the Saints stink this year, they got the number 1 pick and they get a chance to change their franchise.
Yeah, I don't feel strongly about it. I don't think it's broken in the NFL like it might be in the NBA.
I've always wanted instead of a lottery, I've always wanted it to be that in all these sports, some type of system where the best teams that don't make the playoffs get the first pick. And you go from there.
That's not good either.
What's that?
That's not good either.
No, because I want you because then teams might be trying to lose not to get the 8 seed, you're saying?
Well, yeah, but it also then you're not creating parity. Your team, you're gonna have teams that are terrible for a long time. I like the Daniz idea, and we're gonna talk to Daniz a couple times this week. You're rewarding basically games won after you've been mathematically eliminated.
Okay, yeah, all right.
So you're incentivizing teams to still try.
Yeah, okay, I like that.
But it's not just the best team who didn't make the playoffs gets the first pick.
I just mean like I want teams to try. Can you imagine like trying to win this game to get the number 1 pick? Right.
Yeah, that's more fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Real football guy take here.
So we know you're giving.
I am surprised that the Eagles didn't sign an undrafted long snapper.
Interesting.
Don't we want competition for Charlie Hewlett?
You're really down on Charlie Hewlett.
Well, it's not like they replaced Rick Lovato with a young whippersnapper to be their long snapper of the future. This guy's just as old.
Yeah, I think it was a performance thing.
Well, yeah, but I mean, let's solve this position long term.
I don't think Howie wants to burn a 90-man roster spot on a long snapper.
Well, you get 91 thanks to Lake and Vakalaki.
That is true. You know what you should
maybe
do?
When Brandon Graham. Actually, that's a great idea. That's a great idea, Zach. Yes. Use your international exemption on teaching a guy every single day for 2 years to become your long snapper and groom that guy.
Find a rugby player who can race down the field.
Zach, that is a great idea.
Yeah, it's a free roster spot.
There has got to be somebody in Australia who's showing enough promise as a long snapper that you can carry him for 2 years. That's a great idea.
I mean, if you think about it from like just a percentage perspective, your odds of getting a contributor are far better teaching a guy how to play long snapper than teaching a guy how to play offensive tackle.
And you think that the whole premise of a long snapper is it's like a 10,000 hours thing, right?
Yes.
You just need to just do it and do it and do it. And if you have a guy in the building just doing it and doing it and doing it every day for 2 years.
And you imagine the guy's a good athlete, right?
I love this.
Yeah. I mean, you get
this is the best idea you've ever had.
I don't know if it's the best I've ever had, but yeah, you get like a linebacker type body. You get a guy who's like, 6'3", 260, who is going to chase he's going to be a maniac running down.
I don't care about that. I don't want that. I just want him snapping.
Okay.
Just snap for 2 years.
Okay.
That's what the exemption's for. This is great.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I mean, they should have done it with Matt Leo. He would have been great in that role.
He's too big.
Yeah, true.
Oh, true. I feel like we've just won the Super Bowl. This is great. Wait till Howie hears about this. All right.
Sing Howie tonight. I'll let him know. Yeah.
Speaking of foursomes.
Something like that. He's being honored.
He would be so honored.
I'll have more tomorrow's show about this.
All right, let's talk about the defense. The edge group. Interesting group. A couple dart throws in free agency. Draft Antoine Powell-Ryland. How are they going to backfill after Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt? And do you think that Bryce Huff is definitely on the team? So, KJ Henry, Bryce Huff, Patrick Johnson is back. O'Shawn Mathis, Azeez Ojulari, Antoine Powell-Ryland, Josh Uche, plus Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt. I think only 2 locks there with Nolan and Jalix.
You don't think Ojulari's a lock?
I don't think he's a lock just because he has to prove he's healthy. Sure. But I do think for this exercise, he's a lock.
Sure.
Who else do you have?
I have Uche and Powell-Ryland. So I have Bryce Huff being traded.
Okay. I
could be wrong, but I had to throw a little spice in here. I couldn't just go chalk. And so...
This is the first time for you.
So, I mean, Powell-Ryland as a developmental player here. Uche, I feel least strong about Uche here.
Uche was my spot 53 was initially Uche, and then I gave it to Cameron Williams instead.
Okay. I mean, I think if it's between those two, they'll keep Cameron Williams.
And so I do have Bryce Huff on the team. So I have Huff, Ojulari, APR, and Nolan Smith, Jalix.
And do you have Bryce Huff because the contract, it just makes it prohibitive from your perspective, or do you think Bryce Huff has some juice to still offer?
Both. I mean, more so the contract, but I mean, Bryce Huff has done more recently in the NFL than Josh Uche has, right? So,
true.
Yeah, I'm saying you might as well give him one more chance.
Fair enough.
Defensive tackle. I think you have 4 locks here. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Ty Robinson, and Moro Ujima.
Correct.
The rest of it is between Thomas Booker, Byron Young, who is a player that I want to see.
Yes.
The Eagles added him after roster cutdowns from the Raiders, former 3rd-round pick. kept him on ice all season long. I want to see what this guy looks like. And then your boy, Gabe Hall.
Gabe Hall. Yes.
How dare you?
I have Ty Robinson. I have Thomas Booker making it as my 5th spot here. I do think you need kind of that backup nose, and that's what Booker's been.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if Byron Young takes that. That's more of like a, maybe Howie's investment comes true. And like we talked about it with Booker last year. A lot of shine for the Eagles player development program.
Sure.
Spearheaded by Connor Barwin, right? They've done a very good job with these guys who have been in the building for a while. Maybe it would be unfortunate if the next year's version is Byron Young, but I have Booker taking it as well, but I'm not so sure that would be the case. All right, linebacker. Do you have Nakobe Dean on PUP?
I have him on PUP.
As do I, yes. Okay. So after that, you've got Zach Bond and Jihad Campbell as locks.
Yep.
I think Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is going to be on this team.
Yep.
And I think Smile Mondon Jr. is going to be on this team.
I do.
Is that it?
That's it for me because
Lance Dixon and Dallas Gant are the other two.
Yeah, and then Van Sumeren can mix in here as well.
Right.
So I have those 4 and Van Sumeren as an extra guy.
I'm with you. I have those 4 as well. I like a Dallas Gant a little bit. I'm curious to see what he looks like in camp this year, but I think that's a pretty down the middle 4. Corners. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Keely Ringo. Those guys are on the team. The rest of the options. Adoree Jackson, Mac McWilliams, Perry Nickerson, Tariq Castro, Fields, Brandon Johnson, BJ Mays, Eli Ricks, and AJ Woods. How many do you have making it, and who are they?
I have 6.
6.
I have 6.
I have 5.
I have Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean.
I agree.
Keely Ringo.
I also agree.
Adoree Jackson. You disagree?
That's Adoree.
Okay. Mac McWilliams, Big Mac, and then Eli Ricks.
Okay. My only difference here is I just don't have Eli Ricks on the team.
Okay, so you think the Eli Ricks experiment's finished?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not nothing against the guy. I'm not just. My prediction is that they keep 5.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're worried?
No.
Just because his name is Eli doesn't mean you have to love him.
Nah, that's not why I love him. You think Eli Ricks is going to get any creative questions at training camp this year?
What is that a reference to?
Nothing. Let's move on to safety.
I mean, what you got to give me what the callback is.
The chat will know.
Will the chat know?
Yes, the chat will know.
What was the question to Eli Ricks last year?
No, it wasn't last year. No. Do you think he'll get any creative questions this year? This is awkward now. He had some like his White House visit. He had some thoughts about the White House visit that had nothing to do with politics, right? So I imagine if that comes up at all.
That explained why he was the only African American player on defense who is not from another country who went to the White House. That explains it.
I just mean it was just
H.E.
Anyways, safeties.
Okay, let's talk about safeties. Reed Blankenship, Andrew Makuba. Those guys are locks. I think for this exercise, Sidney Brown is a lock. And then you've got Lewis Cine, Maxon Hook, Tristan McCollum, and Andre Sam. Do you have 4 safeties or 5?
I have 4. And in the spirit of draft pedigree, I got to go with my man, Lewis Cine.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I feel seen here. I have Reed Blankenship, Andrew Makuba, Sidney Brown, and Lewis Cine.
This is my other undrafted rookie. I have Lewis Cine making it, and I have Maxon Hook making the team. Why not?
Well, you
very much in the Reed Blankenship.
Yeah, that was your hope
role.
for the show.
Why not? Special teams.
Good friends with Quinyon Mitchell. That's gonna be a good.
Now, do we know that just because they played together in the same?
Yeah, they were roommates.
Oh, well, maybe that means they're not
best friends.
Best friends. Okay, that's different.
Yeah, I mean, best friends from what I understand.
I mean, living together can put a strain on a relationship.
It depends, but
that's why I said can.
Yeah, can. Yeah. No, I got a reliable source that these are best friends, or that these are real close friends.
Oh, is it the guy you're seeing tonight?
No. Also, in the spirit of talking about Reed Blankenship and Cooper DeJean, don't want to get ahead of myself here, but Anthony did say something on the show this morning. There's some exciting things coming at PHLY. Just want to put that out there.
Exciting being the operative word.
Well said.
Yes, we did some viral marketing. I don't know if you were watching during the draft weekend, but There was a point when Fran and I were on here, and we saw two little things running around out there. And so the exciting mice will be debuting at some point soon. Very cool.
Very cool.
All right, and that's it.
And then we have Jake Elliott, Braden Mann, and
somebody's asking about it. I do think that Tristan McCollum and Andre Sam are interesting guys fighting for spots. I want to see what Andre Sam looks like.
Yeah, I really like Andrew. I really like Andre Sam. As,
yeah. How do you feel about having an Andrew and an Andre apostrophe, as if the apostrophe is for the W?
I got to know Andre Sam a bit last year. Spoke to him. Real great, great story. Nice guy. Also has a brief appearance in the book.
Ooh, I'm gonna ask you about that in 1 second, Zach. Yes. And if you want to find out where Andre Sam appears in Leap Year and why, you're gonna have to stick around for
overtime.
So angry.
No, it's excitement. It says Jim Harbaugh says bringing an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. So Super Bowl Sunday. I have to talk about Cooper DeJean and Saquon Barkley celebrating their birthday, but I can't just mention those two and not put in parentheses. It was also practice squad safety Andre Sam's birthday. So
I thought it was going to be because he was making the rounds in the post-game locker room celebration.
Oh no, he did not get into that chapter. Yeah, he is in the Super Bowl chapter.
Well, that is a very important distinction that you needed to include there.
I just thought, I don't think there's going to be an index in this book. But if there were an index, I would make sure. I would love if Andre Sam's family bought the book.
Yeah,
they go to the back. Yeah. They search it and
you got to go to Sam.
They go to Sam, exactly. I got Belichick's book and I read
least surprising sentence you've ever said.
I went searching for Eagles, because you want to know.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, Bill.
Did you read the book?
I read parts of it.
Heard it's terrible.
Left something to be desired.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can't play the Eagles in 2 Super Bowls and then pretend one. You can't write a book and pretend one doesn't exist. Right? There's
he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, he could. It's his book. He can do whatever he wants. But I just feel like.
Do you think he wrote the book?
I do, actually. Okay. Yeah. I do think he wrote the book.
Okay.
I mean, if he didn't write the book, I think he wrote the book. Yeah.
Okay.
You think his creative muse wrote it?
It's hard for me to imagine him sitting down and typing it out, but
he's always waited to write a book for this point, so I think he wrote the book.
Yeah. Well. Wasn't worth the wait, apparently.
Wasn't worth the. I mean, I'm sure it's selling well, so I don't know if that was his objective or not.
Some chatter over the weekend about after Derek Carr's retirement. You think Kellen Moore is going to be coming after Tanner McKee?
He should. Now, they just spent a second-round pick.
Yeah, I think they already made this choice.
Exactly. To me, I said it on draft day. I would rather trade for Tanner McKee than the 20, than Tyler Shuck. Shuck, yeah. 26. Like Tanner McKee's younger. I've seen he played for your coach before. I like Tanner McKee better than Tyler Shuck.
But doesn't that tell you that they couldn't have been that interested?
Or maybe the Eagles weren't moving him, but I imagine the Eagles would move him for a second-round pick.
I would imagine.
But yeah, I mean, I agree. They made their decision. I keep reading.
I also don't think it benefits the Eagles to give up McKee at this point for less than like a blowing away cost.
Sure,
right?
exactly. And if they were going to blow you, I imagine they knew about Derek Carr that they weren't planning to have Derek Carr this season anyways.
Right.
So I'm curious to see what they do. It sounds like they're just going with Shuck. I keep reading this idea that no, Arch Manning's definitely coming back. If Arch Manning's worthy of being the number 1 pick and the Saints get the number 1 pick, he's going in the draft. Now Arch hasn't told me that. Neither is Eli or Peyton. But if he's worthy of being the number 1 pick, I mean that's like LeBron going to the Cavs. He's going to he'll go to the Saints. It's a match made in heaven. Isidore Newman's finest. Actually, Isidore Newman's finest is Michael Lewis. but
yeah, get him to Giacomo's.
Get him the I'm sure he's been to Giacomo's.
Sure.
You have that. You have the alligator cheesecake. Man, that's worth moving to New Orleans for.
But you're not.
I'm not. I mean, there's nowhere I'd rather be than with Emily and Reed and Sloan.
Okay, but absent them, you'd move to New Orleans for the alligator cheesecake.
I would visit. I'd visit frequently.
That's worth visiting for.
You get one of those national jobs that you get to go to a different game every week. That'd be pretty awesome. I mean, my job's great right now. I'm not saying that, but yeah, you get
always looking for the next thing.
You get one of those national jobs where you're covering a game in a different city every week. I would love that. You wouldn't love that?
Yeah.
Okay. Or could I? So there's one fewer person. Kidding.
All right. What else is going on?
How was your weekend? I answered mine. How was yours?
Did you answer?
I said I had a nice weekend. Yeah.
Well, thanks for the in-depth analysis.
All right. Here we go.
I have a thing I want to say.
You stayed this long.
Actually, yeah.
I will say it. Man, I had a brain fart and a half this weekend. Embarrassing as humiliated myself to 7-year-olds with this one. So Brandon Graham has a book out right now, a children's book. I highly recommend it, actually. My son read it to me 2 nights ago. So I saw that. Is
it like his story? Or what
it's ABC. It's like, so for every letter, there's like something about
him or about
like advice for kids, but about him, like, I don't want to give any of the letters away because there aren't that many of but it's, like Z was like
zucchini.
I was like zest, I think, or like having a zest, something like that. Anyways, so I saw an ad on social media, I think it was, or no, it was in my email, that Brandon Graham was having a book signing at a local Barnes & Noble. Okay. And for some reason, I thought this weekend was the 17th. Like, it was like the Dwight Schrute thinking it was Friday when it was Thursday. And I signed up for it online. I told Reed, Reed invited our cousin his same age, leave his baseball game early to go to this, right?
No way.
He pitches, then he catches 1 inning, pitches, hits, and then I'm like, we gotta go because there's probably gonna be a long line here. Pull him away from the game for this. He brings
I'd be pissed if I was the coach.
He brings a jersey in the car, okay, to change into, like an Eagles jersey, okay. Go to his cousin's house, picks up I pick up his cousin. We get to the store. I'm like, I thought there'd be a longer line right now, right? Walk in, announce my presence. Like, I'm here for the book signing. And the woman at the front desk is like, what book signing? And I was like, what book signing? Brandon Graham. It's like, that's next Saturday. The egg on my face, man.
How mad was Reed?
Reed was cool about it.
Okay. I can't believe you took him out of the baseball game for this.
I mean, it's a chance to, we're at the baseball game for an hour and a half, right? So, but
he's met Brandon Graham before.
Okay, all right. What's the thing you say? Don't tell someone else how to parent.
Well, I'm just surprised.
Yeah, no, I thought it was gonna be a real cool opportunity, and you get him to a bookstore. But yeah, I got the wrong day.
You get him to a bookstore.
You get him to the bookstore, and but I got both of them the book. Then Reed read it to me Saturday night.
Okay.
But
now are you still gonna go next weekend?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I promised them, and that.
Yeah.
So, but man, that was tough.
How was the? Oh man, how am I going to tell Emily this? That must have been.
Oh yeah, it was. It was telling my cousins.
Yeah.
I felt worse about that. Yeah, Emily's like, how'd you screw that up?
I mean, that's a very easy thing to screw up. You get it in your mind and then you don't think about it.
Yeah. But man, that was that. Yeah, that was a tough one.
That's tough. Here's my thing for you from the weekend.
Yes.
Last night, we spent the day outside. Put the kids to bed. Got a shower. I've been outside all day. But Rachel and the baby were asleep, and I don't want to risk waking them up. Turn on the light. Take a nice dark shower.
Ooh.
You ever do a dark shower? All the lights off. Yes, you know where the soap is. You know where the shampoo
I've never
is.
done a dark shower.
I love a dark shower. A great way to get ready for bed.
Okay. Did you fall asleep in it?
No.
Like you doze off, I'm saying? Like
No.
Okay.
No, but I like a dark shower. It's a good, like, prove to yourself that you can do this in the dark. Fantastic.
I'm sure you took that as a challenge and you did it well.
Yeah, I love to give yourself, give yourself a challenge.
Yeah.
You ever do that when you were a kid? Like, see if you could, like, make your way downstairs with your eyes closed?
I do that now to go pee, but I'm not.
Well, that's a little different.
Yeah, but no, I've never showered in the dark.
Highly recommend the dark shower.
Okay.
If you haven't
Chat, have you dark showered?
Andrew, people say dark showers are good for migraines.
Have you dark showered, Andrew?
I can't say I have.
Okay.
But I would try it. Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like a good test.
Yeah. Love a dark shower.
Yeah. In the chat.
A lot of support for the dark shower.
A lot of support for the dark shower. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You can get like a during the day, there's a little natural light. That's one thing. But if you get the true darkness shower, great experience.
I do like the shower a lot, so I will try a dark shower.
Okay.
Yeah. I had one other fun aside from the weekend that Matt reads basketball on Saturday morning. Okay.
Sports-filled weekend.
Oh yeah. There's like 3 sports a weekend. It's just I'm a chauffeur driver during the weekend. Anyways, I offered a blind a trade in fantasy baseball when I was there. Usually there's like there's like emails back and forth.
And you just got straight accept.
I did this, and then I got the straight accept.
So
and
then you're worried.
So then I'm worried. I put
why? Yeah, I offered. I'm the rube. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you never want the straight accept.
I got the straight accept, and I was there was like 3 minutes at the basketball where I wasn't focused on the basketball because I was like, oh God, what just happened here?
Okay.
Did I, is he hurt? And the blind office I was scrolling through social media and I saw that Roki Sasaki had like a horrible start on Friday night. And I'm like, all right, maybe I can, buy low on Roki Sasaki. So, usually I'm like studying the peripherals and doing all, I just did the straight, I just did the blind proposal and it gets the accept and my heart sank. I was like, did I put the wrong person in here? He accepted the deal as it was.
And who did you part with?
I offered Kikuchi, who's on the last year of his deal. He's a good pitcher, but he doesn't.
So you get control for Sasaki.
Yeah, for 3 years, but at $20. And then Jared Jones, who at a good price, but he's coming back from that elbow, and so
that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot, but Sasaki. It was like the best amateur pitcher in the world, or not amateur, best non-MLB pitcher in the world going into the season. So,
okay, that doesn't seem like a crazy unfair trade, but
no, but you know the feeling when you get the accept,
yeah.
You do get worried about that.
Okay, all right, good stuff. In overtime on a Monday, we are back tomorrow. Fran Duffy's going to join us, a little 3-way, and don't forget the final episode. At least this draft cycle of the PHLY draft show with Fran Duffy. That's at noon tomorrow. All kinds of stuff. You got that. You got the regular 2 o'clock show. On Wednesday, you got the regular 2 o'clock show with us and the professor talking schedule stuff. And then you got the bonus show Wednesday night as we break down the schedule with Cuz here in studio. And then, by the way, we're back on Thursday and Friday as well. So all kinds of stuff coming your way in the middle of May on PHLY. Enjoy the lottery party tonight. Good luck to the Sixers fans. Check out the lottery party show with our PHLY Sixers gang. And that's all we got. We'll talk to you tomorrow. For Andrew and Zach, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Comment below. Tell us whether you think Max and Hook is going to make this team. And that's all we got. As always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.